Hey guys, I'm just tagging friends. Give me just a sec to get this out. And anyone else I can think to tag. This is going to be pretty quick and easy. It's more of a Q&A. I'm going to show you how to use it a little bit. I meet Diana. I miss your face. Diana has been friends with me since elementary. I'm trying to get comfortable so I could stop shaking this video. And since elementary school, and she's stuck in Corpus, and I'm stuck in Victoria, so we can't see each other. Usually during holidays, we like to do something together. So what we're going to talk about today is the what a mold is, how to take care of it. I'm going to show you how you demold, what not to use on it, how to clean them. There's just so many things that people don't think about when they start using molds. And so I'm going to show you what I do. Now keep in mind, I've learned from experience, and so from that I have done lots of research, and I tell you, I don't do anything or share anything unless I've researched. I'm hoping that Jessica will be able to pop on real soon because she's got quite a few answers that you might have as well. Hey Goldie, I'm just glad, hey Hillary, I'm just really glad that you guys could join me today. I'm kind of getting bored. I like to get up and go and do things, and I'm a school teacher, so I really am missing that. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is our molds. And I think I'm going to move you down just for this one because I want you to see first how you need to store your molds. A lot of people don't do this correctly. A lot of people store them in boxes crammed on top of each other. We want to make sure that when you store your molds, I'm going to you down real fast just to see that you store them in a way that they're on top of each other. Once a mold has deformed, it won't go back. It's never going to go back. You can try heating it, you can try, but the only way to get a mold back is to get a new one or have it repoured. That's it. So this is the way I store my molds. This is a Dollar Tree cookie tray. Obviously it's very well used, and now it's used for this. What I do is I put this is my craft paper that I use, but I use it out here, and I store them. Here's another one, and I store them on top of each other, just like this. A great thing about this is if people ask you what type of molds you have, they're all laid out. You should never ever store them on top of each other. You really need, well, in a basket where they're molded up. You can store them on top of each other as long as there's something separating them. If you want your molds to last, you need to make sure that the silicone isn't touching. So that's the first thing I'm showing you is how you need to store them. And this is great because when you store them like this, they can easily be put underneath something, and then when you need to find them as well, they're all separated and easy to find. The other thing you need to know about your molds is, this is one I didn't clean yet. You can probably see that it's got glitter on it. There are three ways that you can clean your molds. First of them is baby wipes. These are gentle. They're not going to hurt anything. I sit here and just pick off the old silicone, just like this. It's not going to hurt them. I say if baby wipes are gentle enough for babies, they're going to be gentle enough for your silicone. Another thing you can do, and it's what I've done to all of these, is I clean them with mild soap and water. It's what they prefer. They would prefer to be cleaned with soap and water. So you do one at a time. You're not going to stick them in a sink and let them soak in soap water. You're going to do them one at a time. You're going to add a little bit of, my washing machine's starting to walk. You're going to add a little bit of soap, mild soap, preferably put it in a spray bottle, add your soap to the water, shake it up, and you're going to spritz it onto your silicone. Now there's a reason that I'm being so particular about it. they may feel rough, but they're actually not. And so you want to make sure that when you're using them, that you're taking care of them. So the second thing you can do, I've already started taking off all of the glitter, is alcohol. This is my spritz bottle of alcohol. I also have them in little containers that you can push down. Alcohol is really good for them as well. They're not going to dry them out. In fact, it's probably better for you to clean it before you use them with alcohol, because after you clean them and you set them onto your tray and you get ready to use them later on, chances are it's going to have like little lint or dust on them, because you know houses are always going to be full of dust. So prior to using your mold, you want to make sure that you clean it with alcohol, or again, take them and go clean them with some soapy water. This is, you saw how it looked a second ago. Now it's cleaned up with just baby wipes and alcohol. All the other ones that I have here, I've cleaned with soapy water. Silicone is actually much more fragile than you think, and I think I just said that. So here are some things that you don't do. Never apply heat, ever. Keep in mind that heat is going to cause your silicone to crack. It's going to cause your silicone to melt. But if you add heat to your epoxy that's inside of your silicone, it's going to cause it to bake into your silicone. So when it comes time for you to take it out, it's going to rip. I've actually had that happen, which is how I know to let you guys know, don't apply heat. Don't apply direct heat, which would be like your heat gun. You don't want to put direct fire or heat. I actually use this. This is something that I got on Amazon. It's cheaper on Amazon than it is at Hobby Lobby if you don't use the 40% off coupon. It's for embossing. It's not as strong. It's not going to blow a really strong stream of heat onto it, and it's not going to cause your epoxy to bake into your silicone. Another thing you need to know about epoxy is that there are two separate kinds of epoxy. You have regular cup epoxy, and which we would call tumbler epoxy, and you also have epoxy that is for molds only. We call it casting epoxy. The first set of epoxy that was sent out through Puzzle Tumblers was casting epoxy. Now the difference is when you have your tumbler epoxy, and again, this is coming from experience, and then I used Counterculture DIY, and I needed to make one of the little globes with a flower inside of it. So I filled up the bottom of the globe, I put the flower in, and I put the top back on the globe and filled it with regular epoxy. There's no room for it in there. It got really, really hot. It started smoking. I tried to touch it to take it outside. I mean, we're talking hot. It burned me. I had no idea I was going to get outside. I thought it was going to catch fire. That's the difference. Casting epoxy is specifically made for molds and for casting in smaller spots. So if you can, use casting epoxy in your molds. Now, if it's an open mold like this is one of Jessica's new molds. I cannot wait to use this. This is for keychains and for monograms. Isn't it beautiful? It's an open mold and you can use regular epoxy, but I'm going to tell you not to. I'm going to tell you to use the casting molds in your casting epoxy in your molds, just because it's better for them. And in the long run, they'll last longer. If you take care of your molds the way you're supposed to, they're going to last quite a bit. Another thing that you need to know is that before you use your epoxy in your mold, you really need to condition it. This is called silicone spray. I spray this inside of my mold prior to putting the epoxy in. Basically what this is going to do is keep your epoxy from sticking to your mold and tearing it. I'm going to highly suggest that you get silicone spray if you're going to be using molds. Don't try to peel it out. If it's stuck, it's stuck. That means it's baked into your mold, and chances are it's going to break. Heat and well, basically heat is what causes it to stick and what causes your molds to tear. So this is what you need. This is what I use, the silicone spray. There's a lot available on the market. There's a ton of it on Amazon. That's where I got mine. I got it within 2 days. So you're gonna spray this in your mold before you use it and add your casting epoxy. And when it comes time to take it out, it's going to be easier to remove. I'm gonna show you a few of the new molds that we have out right now in case anybody's interested. Look at this one. This one is out now. I think this would be fun for little girls. You could put it on a little key ring thing here and stick it on your key ring and have a box or a little plastic bag in your purse and put either Velcro here or a piece of magnet and have her or him just play dress up with his little. Isn't that cool? I love that. I'm so excited about getting it in. Another one that she got in was the mouse ear. Look at this. Guys, this is so awesome. You fill this up with something and then you're going to attach it to a headband. So you can have mouse ears that you can make yourself. Another one of her new ones, look, it's the whale and all of the beautiful filigree that's inside. I love stuff like that. I'm going to show you how to do something with this in just a little bit. This is one of her new ones as well. From Harry Potter. She has 2 new straw toppers or straw. We're going to do both sides. This will be where your straw goes and then you're going to make them together and you're going to glue them together. These are some of her new ones. Just came in. I just got these in. Look. Another. Here's her bow. You can fill that up with a different color. So those are a few of her new ones that we got in. Here's this one, the rings. You can fill these up and make the little girls with the bow off of this. And you can make little boys and you can give these as gifts for Easter, as rings for them to carry around or attach to their backpacks. But if you got this, you have the heart, the crown, all of the different things that you can do to attach it. Fun little things that you can do with these, but you gotta take care of your molds first. So let's go to our next step, which is demolding our molds. Now, a lot of times when we talk to you guys about taking vinyl off of your mat, you take the mat off of the vinyl, you don't take the vinyl off of the mat. That's to save your vinyl. Well, it's basically the same thing with demolding any type of epoxy from your molds. I'm gonna bring you back down here. And last night I did 2. Now there's a few things that you need to know about Jessica's epoxy. One of the things that I absolutely adore about her epoxy is the next day if you wake up and you pull your mold out and it's still a little bit, this will show you. What you do first is you're gonna pull all the way around your mold just like this. All the way around, okay? You're not going to pull your epoxy out of your mold. You're going to pull your mold away from your epoxy. It's just that simple. Now that I've pulled it all away, I'm able to put my finger underneath it. Now this epoxy is still pliable, okay? So here's 2 things that you can do. You can pull it out, set it to the side, and let it continue to cure, and now you're able to make more. The other thing you can do if you decide is the side you're going to put it on is you can fold it over something, just like this, and let it cure this way. So that way, if you decide you want your earring to be on a curb, just like this, you can do that. My fingers, I just now ate, so you have to excuse the way that I'm shaking. Okay, so you're going to put here, and then you'll put something over the top, and when it cures, it'll cure with the curve in it. So think about all the beautiful flower leaves that you could make with this. You can make, I have really gotten into washers, okay? Look at the flower that you can make out of your washer with metal, okay? So if you decide you want to do this, you put it over something curved this way, you put something over the top of it so that it stays curved, and when it finishes curing, it's going to cure curved. So if you pull it out and it's still pliable, that's okay. There's so many things that you can do with this, but look at how beautiful these flowers would be with this in the center right here. Make it into a necklace of some type. The other one that I did last night, I wanted to show you that it doesn't necessarily have to be just your epoxy. I used not only clear glitter, but I also used my micas in it. Now again, you're gonna pull your mold away from your epoxy. You're not going to pull your epoxy away from the mold. All the way around, just like this. It's like breaking something without actually breaking it. This is still pliable as well. It's not gonna hurt for us to pull it out of the mold. Just like this, put your thumb underneath, pull it up, just like this. I'm sorry I'm shaking. I really should have eaten a lot sooner, okay? So now what I did, it is still pliable, so you wanna put it down on something and let it cure flat. It's going to cure much faster out of the mold if it's pliable than it's going to cure inside of the mold. So you're gonna cure it flat. What I did before I put it in the mold is I told you I would use one of these down here. I'm gonna use one of our new molds and show you how I did this, okay? This is mica powder. I'm gonna use the purple, and you're going to use a paintbrush, just with your mica powders, and you're gonna go over the top of your filigree, just like this. What do you need, love?
Oh, I just want to watch.
Just watch, you can come in here. Just don't get the table.
Okay.
We just did another lizard rescue, so we're real excited about that. Okay, let's say we wanted to do it this way, and let's move on to our next.
How'd you do that?
And my daughter just walked in and said, how'd you do that? Here's another one.
I guess I could just watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably watch the tutorial.
Yeah.
Go over to that on the very bottom and pull out the gold mica powder. Mica powder is what they use in makeup, guys. It's eyeshadow. You can use this on yourself. If you wanted to put some on your skin or whatever to give yourself a little bit of shine, dear, and whatever. Oh, wish I had some purple eyeshadow. You do if you have mica powder. That's exactly what this is, okay? This one right here is the mica powder that I get at Hobby Lobby, called Pearl X. This is also Pearl X. I got a kit online. You're going to take your brush, same brush. She got one of the new ones out. Tab it in and just rub it in just like this. You want to make sure that you get the sides. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing, just like this. Gonna get up here where we had them stop so we can have multiple colors. And do not blow it out. You're going to blend it together, but you want all the powder to stay in there. And this is a great way for you to see the beautiful filigree that we have inside of the mold, but this is how I color my mold. Turn that light towards me, please. You'll be able to see it better when there we go. You can see all the beautiful designs in here. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is fill it. Super simple. Yeah, I knew I did. This is what I use to stir my epoxy. I like these because there is no porous areas, so you don't have to worry about too many bubbles. However, I find that this epoxy actually doesn't have many bubbles at all. And I'm going to show you a little trick that I do. Okay, I'm going to pull back because I have to be able to see what I'm doing. Doesn't take much at all. I find that I do more molds by not looking first. Put a little bit more in here. This is part A and part B. Guys, I'm going to tell you what I learned from experience. Put your thicker epoxy into your thinner epoxy and it stirs better. The thicker epoxy has a tendency to stick to the bottom of your cup, but if you start with your thinner epoxy, which happened to be part A, it doesn't stick as much and it's easier to stir in. So here we are, I'm stirring in A and B. I love this epoxy because the bubbles do come to the surface faster. We're going to do another one without the mica powder, and we're going to add your silicone spray. The mica powder in the bottom of this keeps it from sticking to the bottom and to the side, so you shouldn't have to use your silicone spray when you're using your mica powders. Scrape the sides and the bottom. Another thing I'm going to tell you is, yes, you can put your glitter in the bottom if you would like to do it that way. I like to add my glitter to my epoxy. It's just what I like to do. I'm going to go ahead and use the color changing Magic Daffodil, just because it's clear and you'll be able to see how clear the epoxy is, which is what I want you to see. I want you to be able to see through it and see how great this epoxy is. So I add my epoxy. I add my glitter to my epoxy. I do not add my glitter to the mold. Okay, just like that. I wanted you to be able to see the epoxy, which is the reason that I chose this glitter. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that in this area over here is where you start, so that you can get the epoxy behind everything. I always start here because I want to make sure that the epoxy is behind. On the little molds that have them really close like this, you're going to pull it back a little like this and make sure that it gets inside of it that way. Go ahead and pour this in.
I like the little epoxy stick.
Isn't it fun?
Yeah.
I had a couple of these. I got my sticks online. This was 2 ounces of epoxy. Doesn't take much to fill these. Now you just make sure that it moves out. You don't want to move it too much. And as you can probably tell, the mica powder is helping it not to stick to the mold. So just move it around just like this. And then you let it set for a little bit. If you find that it has bubbles in it, that's when you use your heat. But you're not going to use direct fire, or you're not going to use your heat gun. You need to use something like a blow dryer or the embossing gun that I got at Hobby Lobby. So this is our first one. I'm going to show you one more time how to do one. I might use a smaller, let's do the dog. This is the dog bone right here. And we're going to use our silicone spray. Squirt it on just like this. And this is going to save your epoxy from sticking. It's kind of like the non-stick that you have for cooking. It's going to keep your cookies from sticking to the tray. Again, we're going to do 1 and 1. I'm putting in my part A first. Remember, part A is thinner. I'll be up here doing it because I have to see it in the light. Okay, I'm going in with half a teaspoon.
Are those medicine cups?
Yeah. Jessica sells these as well, guys. Half a teaspoon of A, which is thinner. You're going to add half a teaspoon of B, which is thicker. Let's see if I can get this in here and then I'll pour. It's thicker and it goes in on top. There we go. It's easier to stir because you've added your thicker A, your thicker B to your thinner A, and it will stir easier and not stick to the bottom of the cup. Now, I'm not going to do anything with this. I want to show you later on how absolutely gorgeous the casting mold epoxy, the casting epoxy is for the molds. It's a little glitter. It was stuck on my spoon, my stir thing. And I'm going to show you my little trick. I don't know how many of you bake. I used to bake for a living. Another thing that we do is my daughter likes to make macaroons. The thing that's going to get the bubbles to rise to the top the fastest is to pound your cake mix or your cookie mix if it's thin. So once you've stirred it all in, rub the sides, down the bottom.
What happens if you stir it too much?
You can't stir it too much. What happens if you stir it too little? It doesn't mix correctly, and you'll have spots in it that didn't get mixed. So it can't stir it too much, but you can stir it too little. Good question, AJ. All right, so here's what I do. You're going to pound it just like this, and you'll actually see the bubbles rise to the top. The bubbles are rising to the top. You can actually see them popping as they come to the top. Okay. Again, we're going to start with where the keyhole is, and we're going to drizzle that in with my shaky hands, just like this. I had one. I'll eat another when this is done. I wanted to get some sugar in me. All right, so I've gotten it all around the outside, and what this is doing is it's keeping it from overflowing on top of the hole maker, and then you add the rest to your mold. It's got a little bit of glitter in it, but that doesn't hurt. These are great. Again, this is half a teaspoon and half a teaspoon. Now guys, if you don't know how much epoxy to use, one of the things that I have done in the past is you fill your mold with water. Then transfer the mold, epoxy directly to your measuring cup and set it down and mark it. You're gonna mark it and make sure that, so if it says 1 teaspoon, you know you need half of A and half of B. All right, now I noticed that this has a little bit too much. Go get me a popsicle stick. God, I need my daughter in here more often when I'm doing these. I'm gonna show you what I do if I feel like I've got too much epoxy in something. I lift my mold like this. I put my cup underneath. I take my stick and I scrape it across the top.
Oh.
Now, it was a lot. Now, you've got the hole is open. If you feel like you need to add a little bit more, you can, but now you know that your epoxy is not over the top of the hole. Remember, this had the silicone spray in it, so it's not going to stick. Your time for cure is going to be as much as 24 hours, but in 6 to 12 hours, it's pliable enough to take out. Like I said with this one, it is pliable to take out and do what you want with it. If you want your to be like this, you can do this. You just need to find something to fold it over the top. That's what I love about this, is you don't have to sit and wait for it to get completely hard. You can pull it out and do things with it. All right. I did have good cupcakes, didn't I? It's Gigi. The casting mold is amazing, especially for the molds, because you know that it's specifically made for the mold. It's not going to overheat. It's not going to cook into the silicone. It's when it overheats and sticks to the silicone that you're going to start tearing it, which is why I suggest either using the mica powders or to use the silicone spray. This is what I use. It's kind of like baking spray for silicone. If you notice, like this one I did a second ago has a few bubbles on the top. You just take your embossing gun, which is what I will be using, if I can get it untangled. We had to move some stuff around yesterday to put holes in metal. All you're going to do is turn your embossing gun on, heat it up. Doesn't take much. You don't want to overheat it, just like that, and all of the stuff is gone. A few things that you didn't know about the molds. They are FDA compliant, so if you decide you want to use them to pour chocolate into, oh, Mary, I got it on Amazon. I will upload the link for you in just a little bit, but there are several of them. Rewind. Oh, if you decide you want to use your molds to put chocolate in and make some chocolate molds for friends and family, you can do that. These are FDA compliant. Do not use your silicone spray if you do decide to do that. Make sure that your chocolate is not overly hot, just melted. You're going to pour that in there, or Jell-O. You can put Jell-O in them, put them in the refrigerator. They should be okay. Well, not should, they will. Do not put them in the dishwasher. They have to be hand washed. Use mild soap and water and the soft side of a sponge. Do not use scratchy anything, because you don't want it to scratch the silicone and cause spots where the silicone will make your epoxy or chocolate or Jell-O or whatever you decide you want to use them for. It will mess them up. Okay, so another question that I've received in the past was, oh my gosh, there's a divot inside of the mold. So this, again, we're going to go back to our flower. There's the divot inside, and you know you have one pretty side. and you have one that's going to have a divot in it, but you don't want that. So I'm going to suggest that you go get this. This is also something I got on Amazon. It will go into the mold opaque. You're going to think, oh my gosh, I just ruined this. But like triple thick, or like the sprays that we spray on it to seal things, it goes on one color and it's going to dry completely clear. A good example is this one right here. This one has it in it. It's just a slight difference because I filled this one and it's not as thin, but you can't really tell that it's in there. Okay, you may have to do it once or twice, just pour it in and it will fill in those divots for you. I use them on my washers when I put paper on top of them. So anyway, it's a Q&A. I have done the A's. Now it's your turn to do the Q's. Does anyone have any questions when it comes to silicones, the molds? I'm sure that you guys have questions. I'm here for you. Anybody? No one? Wow, this was quite easy. Things that you can use in the epoxy that can go in the mold would be your glitters, alcohol inks, your mica powders. And today I bought a new alcohol ink at the Hobby Lobby. Yes, I went in. Yes, I've washed my hands. No, I didn't touch anything and I stayed 6 feet away from everybody. But I needed to go in and grab a few things. So it's a patina alcohol ink. This is not it. I will show it to you later on, but it is patina and it's meant for metal, but I'm going to try it. Are you going to go get it? It's in the bag in the kitchen, I believe. I'm going to try it on molds later and I'll show you how it goes. I was really excited because it's got the turquoise that people want and the alcohol inks aren't going to do it. So here it is. It is from Vintaj. I'm not really sure, but it's for metal. I'm going to try it on. It is a patina. Look how pretty that turquoise is. I'm going to do that later today. There are 3 different colors in this, but they have other colors. They have the sandstone, the turquoise, and the coral, the 3 of my favorite colors. I'm going to use that on probably the dog bone later on, just to see how it's going to work, and I'll share my results with you. Something else that you can add to your molds if you decide to do earrings are going to be your rhinestones, and Jessica is expecting some in the next 7 to 10 days. If you do decide to do the rhinestones, I would highly suggest that you get your picker-upper like this so that you can put your rhinestones on easily. Oh no, Kirsten, I'm sorry. Okay, so I think that that covers just about everything when it comes to taking care of your molds. If you take care of them, guys, they're gonna last for forever. Well, maybe not forever, but they're gonna last a lot longer than just 1 or 2 uses. There should be no reason why they shouldn't last a couple of years. Hi, sweet love. Okay, they're on their way back. So if you treat them the way they're supposed to be treated, they'll be around for you for a while. Washing them with mild soap and water, using your alcohol spray or alcohol wipes or whatever it is before you decide to use them, just to get any type of lint or dust off of them. Use your silicone spray. Again, I'm going to show you what I use before you use your mold so that the silicone comes out of the mold easier and doesn't tear them. Pulling your mold away from your epoxy, not your epoxy away from the mold. Remember, what happens is when you're pulling your epoxy this way, the mold's going to stick to the epoxy and it's going to, it could cause it to tear, and it could break down the silicone and shorten its life. So by pulling your silicone away from your epoxy, it's going to last longer. Store them. I'm going to show you people how I store mine again so that you will, that's okay, know how to store it correctly. You need to store them on you can get the cookie sheet from the Dollar Tree. I have my baking sheets here, and I have them stored, stacked on top of each other, but not touching, because silicone does stick. You want to make sure that you put something in between them. If you store them in a box, Or even if you decide to use a box, make sure that you have something separating them. If you store them in a box and they move and they stay this way, this one I'm going to use later. This is an example. So you store it like this and it stays like this when you pull it out. It's never going to go back. It will always be messed up. I had a, not from Jessica, but I did have a mold come in the mail before I got involved with puzzle tumblers. And I would have to put something on top of it to keep it flat. And that's because before it got to me, it had stayed stored incorrectly and there is no fixing it. I think that's it, guys. Just take care of them and they'll be there for a very, very, very long time. I will tell you how the patina works on it. And if you come back on Tuesday, when we do our live on Tuesday, I will be giving a couple of molds away. And Wendy, if you win, I certainly hope that it doesn't get lost in the mail and sent back to me. It did happen. Poor Wendy, her first one got lost in the mail, so I reshipped another one, and then it came back to me because I didn't put enough postage on it, even though they told me what to put on it. But I found out why. I'm just using a baby wipe to wipe off the glitter. It's not gonna hurt anything. And I have glitter on my face. So anyway, that is it. I'm going to let you guys get back to your Saturday. Yes, you can use baby wipes to clean them, but before you pour anything into them, you need to spritz them down or do your stamp. You're going to spritz them down with alcohol and you're going to use, I can't find mine, here it is, a soft non-fibrous cloth to get all of the alcohol out along with any type of fiber or dust. And now it's ready to go. Spray your silicone spray into it before you put your alcohol and, before you put your epoxy, or use your mica powders, and it's gonna help it keep from sticking. So I hope you guys have learned a few things from me on how to take care of your molds, how to use your molds, and how to keep them lasting for a long time. I am always here for you. You guys are welcome to message me at any time. Never think that you can't. I do receive quite a few during the day, and I really do find I like to get back and talk with you guys on individually. So feel free to message me at any time, and don't feel like you're bothering me because I won't answer it until I can. So you guys have one fantastic Saturday. Stay safe, and I will see you on Tuesday. Oh, actually, we have one tomorrow. We're going to be doing the stained glass tomorrow. So if you guys want to see a really cool way to decorate like this, come back tomorrow. I believe it's at 6, and I will teach you how to do this. So I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Stay safe out there.